Have you ever witnessed someone caught between faith and science, unsure which path to trust? Today's video continues my special series, Unveiling Beyond the Surface, Untold Healing Stories. As I prepare to move to my new place, my sound studio is getting packed up, but I wanted to share a powerful experience from the height of the pandemic that taught me about the delicate balance between spiritual beliefs and public health. Please don't forget to like and subscribe for more insights on unwinding pain. Greetings. It's nice to see you again. And those here for the first time, you're very welcome. During the darkest days of the pandemic, my roles as both an interfaith minister and public health educator converged in unexpected ways. One particular experience stands out, a moment where bridging the gap between faith and science became not just an academic exercise, but a matter of life and death. I received a call from a family in crisis. 3 generations were living under one roof: adult children, grandchildren, and an 80-year-old grandmother who was the heart of their home. Vaccines had recently become available for seniors, and everyone wanted their beloved matriarch to be protected. Everyone except the grandmother herself. She had firmly stated that she would not receive the vaccine unless she heard from her minister that it aligned with her religious beliefs. Unfortunately, her minister had been hospitalized with COVID and was unable to counsel her. When I arrived at their home, masked and distanced in their backyard, I found a family fractured by fear. The adult children were terrified of losing their mother. The grandchildren missed hugging their grandmother. And the grandmother sat quietly, hands folded, eyes carrying both conviction and concern. "I won't go against God's will," she told me. "If this vaccine interferes with His plan for me, I cannot accept it." What unfolded over the next 2 hours was one of the most delicate conversations of my career. I wasn't there to override her autonomy or dismiss her faith. Both deserved respect. I needed to create a bridge between her spiritual understanding and scientific reality. I began by listening deeply to her specific religious concerns. "Tell me more about how you understand God's will in matters of health," I asked. This opened a rich conversation about her lifelong religious journey and how she had navigated other medical decisions through her faith. She shared stories of refusing certain treatments decades earlier because they conflicted with her understanding of Scripture. But she also spoke of accepting other medical interventions when her minister had helped her see how they aligned with her beliefs. She wasn't opposed to medicine itself. She simply needed a trusted spiritual authority to help her contextualize this new vaccine within her faith framework. Drawing on my interfaith training, I shared how her denomination had released statements supporting vaccination as an act of community care and neighborly love. I explained how religious leaders within her tradition had found it aligned with their understanding of healing and protection. "The scriptures you hold dear speak often about protecting the vulnerable," I noted. "Vaccination allows you to protect not only yourself, but others who cannot be vaccinated." As a public health educator, I explained in simple terms how the vaccines worked. I addressed her scientific misconceptions without judgment, offering information rather than argument. We discussed how these vaccines had been in development for years, built on decades of research. I explained how their rapid deployment didn't mean corners had been cut on safety, but reflected unprecedented global cooperation. As our conversation progressed, something remarkable happened. The tension in her shoulders began to ease. Her questions shifted from defensive to curious. She began to see that her choice wasn't between faith and science, but rather how her faith might inform her approach to this scientific breakthrough. "My minister always said, 'God gives doctors wisdom,'" she finally reflected. "Perhaps this vaccine is an answer to the prayers of many." 2 days later, accompanied by her daughter, she received her first dose. When the nurse asked if she had any questions, she smiled and said, "No, I made my peace with this decision. This experience profoundly affected my understanding of how we approach health decisions. For many, medical choices are not made in isolation, but are deeply intertwined with spiritual and cultural frameworks. In the context of pain recovery, this has significant implications. Many of you may be navigating treatments that must be reconciled with your own belief systems. Perhaps you've hesitated to try certain approaches because they seem at odds with your spiritual understandings. What I learned from this grandmother is that we don't need to choose between our beliefs and our well-being. Instead, we need bridges, thoughtful conversations that honor both our spiritual needs and our physical realities. For those helping loved ones with pain management, this story offers important wisdom. Resistance to treatments might not be stubbornness, but rather a need to align those approaches with deeply held beliefs. Creating space for these conversations without judgment can be as healing as the treatments themselves. And for healthcare providers watching, please remember that medical decisions are rarely made on scientific merit alone. Understanding the belief systems that inform your patient's choices is not secondary to care. It is central to it. Thank you for joining me today. In my next video, I'll share further healing stories I've been privileged to witness. So it's bye for now, and I'm wishing you a comfortable week.